Guess who feels better? So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of meditating, which is my normal, but upgrading my abilities and stuff. And I woke up less on, too. The legs are a lot less swollen. Inconsequential has decided it's a lot less fat looking. And the hub thing for Amazon kind of requires you to have a car and it work. Mine's at the mechanic, so I had to Uber over there to the because my apartment isn't even on the same street as the rest of the apartment complex stuff. So the office and all that had to go over there, look, because for whatever reason the office is supposed to be open right now, but it's not. And did find a door that was open to get into there and look around, but on my way back out of there, I found the hub. It doesn't have an address wise of Uber, but now I know where it is. And got the packages from Amazon, Ubered back over here, got the packages into the apartment houseness. I usually call it a house, regardless of where I live. It's home. So, still clean from the shower. I think was yesterday, but may have been the day before that. It's kind of a blur. And I haven't opened the packages yet, really. I mean, partially opened one of them. I got a lamp, and most of my stuff's in the car. Haven't unpacked the car. Car's at the mechanic with all that in there. Gonna have to, because I got light bulbs in the car, LED nice light bulbs. They're at least 100-watt equivalent of brightness. They're full spectrum, so they do UV as well, so they work for plants. Plants pretty much use UV. And I got some meal replacement protein shakes and soda, and I don't remember what else. Amazon is I'm so used to it just coming to the door, including groceries, so I have to adjust to that and plan out my ordering based on the shipping, based on me getting to the hub. So slept on the floor as usual. Upgraded a lot while I was meditating this. I'm bigger in here. I still got bigger in here. I was doing that this morning of growing new soul volume. I watched pinball more. The place has because I communicated with them a bit via comments and just telepathy, and they figured out how to. They had to charge me a new subscription, but it probably was coming due. It was anyway, but I'm resubscribed, and it doesn't say I'm anything suspended or whatever. Wasn't that weirdness? And so I can watch the plays again. I still working on finding people to watch on YouTube. A lot of the people I was watching, they'll have there's a little blue dot, I think, shows up near the top, right next to their icon logo thingy, that they posted something new, but it's not showing up on my end of anything new. Yeah, I've been thinking about politics and stuff, of course, and getting adjusted to listening to it again. Apparently, they're trying to find Trump guilty already of stuff, and yeah, basically fraud. They've done something that the judge has decided he's guilty of fraud. At least one of them, and he's going to be president. He is going to be president. He's going to be the first convict pardoning himself out of prison, but he is going to be president. So, all that out there already trying to say who won before anything's even, I know they don't even count it, really, they don't. They just make it up on the news and things. And it's just, that's the way it is. It's not it. He is going to be president. And, let's see, trying to think of what else I noticed of current event newsness. Can't think of anything. So I'm just trying to suppress my memoriness for thinking or whatever else. Right in here. And feel better. And moving around easier. And yeah. Inconsequential looks reasonable. Down the hair tie thingy, hair band, whatever. Found the only one I've got. I packed my backpack full of bathroom stuff, and there's the various things that aren't in there. And I really want to discuss some of the stuff that's been stressing everyone out. Can't remember any of the stuff that's been stressing everyone out. So, we pretty much sold our military as if, and funneled whatever money to the DNC. Russia, on the other hand, has a news blurb thing that I found was I follow some Russian stuff, like YouTubers, and something did make it into, I don't know if it was Google News or one of my YouTubers mentioned that thing, but Russia is doing some sort of basically a practice checking themselves kind of thing that they do on a regular basis. I don't think it's yearly, but it's something they do with their military regularly, and I think it did there was a blurb or something, probably in Newsmax or something, but about them checking their nukes and their how efficient they operate. Normal. So, but it doesn't mean anything dramatic. I did find I think it was Newsmax. They were talking probably about that, but there was a little bit of talking about Russia, and they showed a map, that side of the planet, and and it's mostly Russia. There's very little China still there. It's all Russia. It's like southern China is still China, and everything from some line area, like China is like this shaped, or usually was on the map anyway. And there's a line like right around here. This up is Russia, and it goes all the way across into Europe. So there's a little bit of area like of Europe-ness in there, and there's that line continues, and that's all Russia. So they obviously incorporated the lands that they wanted to incorporate, and are basically a quarter of a planet now. Because I don't know, I think in spatially and stuff a bit. So that amount on a globe is a quarter of the planet is Russia now. And yeah, the European countries looked smaller as well. Like they just looked not as big as they had wise, but definitely I'm not taking up as much area as like Russia, which is fine. They're obviously still functioning. So I have to say there is some downsides to capitalism. It gets very competitive and cutthroat, and it ends up with a lot of people can't keep up. And now, communism is definitely affecting us, but just the concept of capitalism, I'm not talking free market necessarily, because there's a bunch of different ideologies that can and do a free market. Not all of them do capitalism. Right? So capitalism is like survival of the fittest, but business and money wise, which means less and less people survive. It's just there's the cream of the crop, and 99% of the rest of the population is struggling and not making it. And so now I'm all for being able to pay your bills, but I'm also into nevering the bills. So I'm into free, which is I'm definitely a free market kind of person. Free works for me, and working being something you want to do, not something you have to do. Which that too, being able to afford to volunteer should be something you can do and not have to work, but can just do whatever it is you're contributing this to do, and your basics being taken care of wise of can afford and don't bill you for anyway or something, housing, clothing, food if you're into eating, and a little bit of, everyone needs a cell phone. Can't function this world anymore without a cell phone. Basics. Other than that, of making ends meet and having a good economy, pretty much in the category of socialism. Now, I have noticed that anyone, and it's been this way a long time, anyone talking about socialism can't define socialism. Can't explain it, can't define it, can't give any how does it work mechanism step by steps of socialism. And yes, it is not the same as communism. Um, Not that it can, can't go wrong. It certainly can, because evil's like that. But it's the concept of communism. Let's start there because that's what everyone thinks of. Is the government owns everything and everyone. Everything and everyone is a slave to the government. It's all government property. It maintenances you, doles out food or housing as it sees fit. Yeah, you could think of it as religiously too. It's the God, which it, don't even give it. I have met Democratness that truly does believe that taxes are tithing. Which, on the other end of the spectrum, from a Christian point of view, I kind of do put tithing in the category of taxes because um, if your 100% of what you've earned doesn't meet your needs, you shouldn't be giving any of it away. You need to take care of you first. You can't meet a need in need. You're the only you there is. You have to take care of you. Your first priority needs to be good for the sake of you. And then you can work on good for others. But first and foremost, you. And typically tithing hasn't been described of Bible-wise as that no matter what you made, you had to give 10% of it back to God. And you know what? And that too, with the promise of being blessed more for it. Which, I don't know about you, but I prayed a lot and I haven't got any of them answered. So, I don't send God fan mail anymore. I don't make any requests of do this for me or do that for me. As far as I'm concerned, God needs help too, if it's still out there. Which is fine if it is, and if it's out there, it obviously needs help because it definitely can't meet the needs. I was a Christian. In some ways, I think I would still be considered a Christian because I am very pro, and I don't call him Jesus because I think that it brings back bad experiences and memories and traumas. And yeah, it's I think it's Roman. Really though, it means God amongst us. It's similar to being called Hercules, God amongst us. Uh, and I don't call him that. I typically call him Christy because I have seen really like back then kind of old writings, and it was Christ with an I at the end. So I went with that's the name Christy. So to me, his name is Christy, and I am very supportive and pro Christy, and there's quite a bit of learned morality that has been passed down via Christy and some of the Bible. A lot of it is advice, not necessarily really understanding right and wrong, but I, I am pro being that way. If that helps you be a better person, go for it. Be a better person. That's the goal. I I really think of myself more as a uh, yeah, profitable and balanced the checkbook socialist. And yeah, getting back to what I was talking about, communism is everything is and everyone is government property. Socialism is everything and everyone is the public's property. They decide whether or not they'll let the government be the caretaker. They don't have to, they can do it themselves too. The community can be the caretaker. But everything and everyone belongs to the people is socialism. Which, at least as a expounding on that, results in, and you do have to stay with that, but it results in the people first. If it is not helping the people, it's a no. So it's not about it's not the kind of same kind of government. You work for, you serve, you are devoted to, you are volunteering to help the people. And whether it be on community level or doing a government kind of big thing or more, anyway, bigger, start with the bigger word. Either doing government helping this, or you're doing a community of organizations and stuff, or just a community doing it. I'm arguing about it nevers. And socialism definitely can work. And from what I have noticed, functional not-a-souls prefer socialism. Yeah, there's souls and not-a-souls. Some people are souls, some people are not-a-souls. And socialism can work. Capitalism, like I said, is survival of the fittest, and who can make the most product and most, effort efficient and mass production and trading, which is, you don't want to get convoluted up in the tradings you have to do to get the product that you want, but money, basically. It's very, very much into make more, do more, make more, do more, make more, do more, and it has no consideration for, is that really good for you, though? To make that much and do that much, are you taking care of you? She'll burn you out on that. And definitely doesn't meet the needs of anyone not keeping up. There's anarchy, and there, personally, I think quite a bit of America making sense in general has been anarchy. I mean, there's plenty of historically mentioned rebellions definitely previous to the 1900s. I mean, there was lots of them in the early 1800s, but 1900s it stopped, which, by the way, that's when the education system happened. Before that, you were self-taught. That was normal. And anarchy can work. You have to be that kind of people, though. It works for people who that makes sense for. They're their enforcement. They make up their personal rules and standards, and this is how it's done. They do their own of discussing and mediating and diplomatness, but ultimately it's each person is their own laws and enforcement, their own rules and their enforcement of them, which can work if you kind of have similar rules. And you definitely do. You definitely result in very low or non-existent crime rate because everyone is ready to kick your ass. Kind of Switzerland. It's a good example. Everyone's armed to the teeth and expected to be so. Everyone can kick your ass and expected to be so. Everyone is, each and every one of them out there is the enforcement, the army, the backup, the calling the troops. Each and every one of them is that. They are a country of one-person armies that they agree on whatever standards and rules and behavior that they agree on, and they don't get invaded ever, and they don't have a crime rate. So, anarchy can work. It really it can work. It's just I don't know how well it can. It could if they're into helping each other, but if they're more like survivalist, survival of the fittestness anyway, they won't necessarily help each other. And when there are things called children and young people, and you grow up at the rate that you grow up. I still contend I'm a kid, and I'm 42. And you grow up at the rate that you grow up, and it's also a choice. How you think about you is how mature you are. Wise, if you're the expert at knowing whether or not you're mature. I mean, no one else is going to know that like you do. You know whether or not you're an adult, or an adult-ish, or you're a kid and you're there, and that's way too complicated and involved, and multitasking and all that. Adults do tend to multitask. I suck at that. Anyway, that kind of situation doesn't take care of the children. And regardless of what they look like, they can be, look like an adult species-wise, and they are not an adult. They don't do that multitasking and on top of it, and this, that, and the other, and that too. That they don't have that meanness that some adults have. They can be vicious, which I recommend not being that way. That's antisocial. But they're kids. They're still kids. They don't think like an adult. They don't have they may not have really the skills because they don't think that way either. And it doesn't. Those kind of situations don't take care of them. They don't take them into really mattering on or even being there. It's like they don't even consider that possibility that there are children walking around that are trying to take care of themselves. And anyone who's noticed the family structure, because we've all been getting so poor, there is a lot of people that's getting back to the family structureness of grandma does what grandma does, and mom does what mom does, and dad does what dad does, and brothers and sisters do what they do, and the dogs and cats do what they do. It's all teamwork. But out there alone ain't got a team taking care of them, helping them, teaching them, helping them be employed or employing them. It's not there. And I think socialism is better at taking care of them. I think it's a better mindset. The people first, each and every one of them. So that's my explanation of socialism, which I didn't used to think that way, but I have gotten smarter and smarter and paid attention and thought about it and researched. Like I said, I follow quite a bit, several Russian YouTubers now to do, and it's very hard to get information through Google, but occasionally from them. Done a lot of research. I'm like that, I'm a nerd. And I think for taking care of the everyday person and kind of, big, working support anyway, some functional definition of supporting them, socialism has an advantage, significant advantage. So, I know that is, and that too, I'm not necessarily not a conservative. I'm definitely not a rhino. I can tell you that much. That's kind of obvious. All those rhinos are just communists in a different suit. And yeah, so I consider myself conservative. Um, I don't necessarily care about all the moral issues, but then again, I see them differently than typical. Like someone insisting they're male or female based on however they are, not necessarily feel like they are, but more like that's a group they understand. Like they're male anatomy, but they understand girls, women more than they understand men. I can understand them considering themselves female, and vice versa. A woman understands being boy and man more than she understands being girl or woman. That's like a subculture groupness level of thinking about it. That I can understand being that way. I know I've been that way as a teenager. I'm typically a non-gender person. I don't consider myself a gender, and I ignore pronouns anyway. I highly recommend anyone that does, see themselves by whatever subculture that they understand. Just ignore the pronouns. Just ignore it. Just pay attention to whether or not they're talking to you, maybe even about you, but I ignore that as well. But whether or not they're talking to you, and don't worry about what pronouns they use. But I'm not into surgeries and stuff. It's not about that. And I think the demons are just messing with them. They're using that against them, trying to manipulate how they think. And I don't think surgery is a good way of doing any of that. Other than maybe a breast removal or breast reduction, any gender surgery, no worky. And I've been there. I've understood white boys. And that's a whole subgroup. I lived in the Northeast at the time. That is a whole group on its own. White boys did things differently. And yeah, there were different groups of white boyness, kind of gangness, actually. They often think of themselves as a gang. And you can be a member of the gang and be a female. But generally speaking, they think of themselves as white boys, as all the groups together wise, and otherwise they're good old boy, country boy, or they're in that independent of where they are. They think of themselves that way. And there's the straight edge, like the Fight Club movie. That's their definition of socializing, is to get together in a group and beat the crap out of each other. Now you would agree on, maybe even shake hands of what are the rules if you beat the crap out of each other. But yeah, body breaking, that too. Straight edge typically was into being cutters. They like to have blades. They like to cut. Pain addiction is kind of a normal thing, and they use chain. You can notice them. They do look similar to skaters, but they're a little more clean cut and less baggy. But they'll have a chain just hanging from their hip. They use that as a whip. That is, areas guns weren't allowed anyway, and they don't think like that. They think like beat you until you ain't even a greasy spot in some hair kind of thinking, and maybe a chain whipping this to rip whatever weapon you do have away. Plus their propensity to have lots of knives on them and various razor blades and whatever else. Razor blade in their shoe kind of person, anywhere and everywhere can have something sharp. And they're a whole gang there, really. There's various gangs of that white boysness. But I definitely understood them more than I did the girls. The girls are freaking nuts. I mean, they think in feelings, and we all know how evil will mess with feelings. So their thoughts are definitely screwed up. I highly recommend not doing feelings. It's not your everyday person that's up to doing feelings. And I do understand that whole, turning it off and not having any feelings anymore. I get that. I've done that. I don't feel a feeling I don't choose to allow to feel. I don't think a thought I don't choose to think. It is very obvious to me my thoughts and my feelings and my perceptions and my meanness, because I choose to think it, to feel it, to perceive it. I stay absolutely and completely in control of everything about me all the time. So, let's see. Yeah. I don't think evil can have children. So if you see children out there, they're not evil. I think evil's ability to have children never a long time ago. So them being into abortion and mutilation, and it's all the young people's fault kind of thinking. It has to do with them evil attacking good. So, yeah. I think that about does it for today. Later.